Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly, David D. Simons. And I'm so delighted and excited to share with you the information for today's episode. We're gonna really break some things down. It won't be long, but it will be strong. And I can't wait to break this down. So today we're talking about turning your affirmations into confirmations, turning your affirmations into confirmation. Well, I always like to start with a definition. So what is an affirmation? You probably heard people say, I say my affirmations in the morning, or I do affirmations and all that stuff, which is great, right? Affirmation, breaking it down from a definition standpoint, dictionary standpoint, is the assertion that something exists or it's true. It's the assertion that something exists or is true. It's a proclamation. It's something you're saying that is going to be true or you see as true. So you're affirming what, oh yeah, she's going to be a really great leader. He's going to be a really great dancer. They're going to make it to the NBA. You know, these are affirmations, right? Some people think these are woo-woo and they're crazy and they're not effective, or and I'm going to talk about some of the myths around it, but I'm also going to talk about my own personal example of how things are working for me from doing this so long, and why I'm encouraging you to do them yourself. Speak these over yourself, speak affirmations over yourself. So let me just start with my life, right? So, and I can't speak for everybody, but there's the affirmations have proven true in my life. And I believe that because I learned these principles from the Word of God, from the Bible. And I believe the Bible is true. Going back to our example, something exists or it's true. I believe the Bible is true. And there's so many lessons I got out of it and get out of it. So when I think about my first job, like real job, right? I had a lot of jobs. We could go through, that's a whole nother story for another day. But my first job, real job, I affirmed it. I remember writing it down. I said, and some of y'all might be like, what? That's it? Well, but for me, this felt like the world. I said, I'm going to work in my dream job as a digital media manager. I literally wrote down the title and I said, I'm going to make $40K a year. I declared that affirmation, and that's exactly what happened. But guess what? It didn't happen in the way I imagined. I ended up leaving California to work for this company called TerraCycle. Shout out to TerraCycle, world's leader in recycling of upcycling of traditionally non-recyclable items. So I worked there in my dream job. Like, think about this. It was around the time, this was around 2010 or so, like 2011, where, people are still learning social media, like how to leverage it from a company perspective. I was playing around I'm not playing around. I was very hard working. Excuse me. I was very hard working. But I mean, playing, when I say playing, I mean, I got to do stuff people got fired for, right? I was on social media all day, leveraging all the platforms, making systems, creating systems, and doing some. So I had some amazing fun there. But where did it start? It didn't start like this. Is after me applying for over 100 jobs during I graduated in the recession of 2008, 2009. I graduated right in it, right? It's like the worst time to graduate, right? And I graduate then. And I had tried. I didn't get no callbacks, like no callbacks. I imagine going for 100 jobs and not getting not one callback, right? I was ignorant at the time, so there's probably some of the ways that I was applying. But my point is, I got my dream job in such a miraculous way. Usually, I lived in California. And then I moved to. I was visiting family in New Jersey. And all of a sudden, there's an opportunity that came up. I said, let me take it. Let me check it out. I go to the interview. First interview went really well. Second interview they scheduled for when I'm actually supposed to leave to go back to California. So I cancel my flight. You can't tell them, oh, this time won't work for me. I cancel my flight. I go to the interview. Interview went well. I come back to California. I want to say about 2-3 days later, they let me know, hey, you got the job. When can you be here? I was like, what? 2 to 3 weeks. I was like, say like, we can give you 2 weeks. I was like, can you give me 3? And they made it happen. I drove across the country to work for this company. So affirmations are powerful. That's one affirmation in my life that I'm just giving an example. So it's not just hocus pocus, lollygag in the sky stuff here. This is real. The other affirmation that has come to pass in my life, I got so many, but I just had to pick a few. My wife, I wrote down everything I was believing. If I read you, I'm not going to read it. If I read you everything that my wife is and everything my wife embodies and all the things that I believed God for in my wife, you would be stunned. If you knew her or you heard her qualities, they're exactly spot on with what I wrote. Exactly. I'm talking to the T. From characteristics to I know this is gonna sound extreme. I wrote down body type and looks and natural beauty and all this stuff, right? Like my wife is, first off, shout out to my wife. She's a blessing. She's my dream wife. I always say this. I hit the wife lottery straight up. That's a whole nother conversation again. Each of these could be side conversations and side episodes, but my point in saying this is I affirmed it. I spoke it. I wrote it out. We're gonna walk through the process. For those that don't do this, I'm gonna walk through the process of this. I wrote out everything that I was believing God for in a wife, and I spoke it, and that's what he brought into my life. After getting the dream job, I wanted to leave. I wrote out an affirmation again. I wrote out affirmations that I would be leaving to start my own company, and I was planning to do it in 2 years, but it took about 4. But I did it. It's again now another affirmation that I affirmed in my life. This wasn't just something that I you know, decided, or like it just, happenstance. This is direct, focused, intentional energy towards doing that, right? So, and we're gonna talk about that. It's not just writing an affirmation and just leaving it, let it happen. It's writing an affirmation and actually doing the work to make it happen. So, I same thing. I read a book. Shout out to one of my first and cherished mentors, friends, still a longtime friend, mentor, brother that I highly respect, Dr. Delator McNeil. That's a miracle. How Dr. Delator McNeil came into my life. Go back a few episodes. I can't remember what episode it is, but you should be listening to them all anyway. So go back and listen to that. Probably like 4 or 5 episodes ago, right? But a solo episode, by the way. But he came into my life, and that was an affirmation. I spoke it and I wrote it. I wrote down that one day we'll work together and impact lives, and that's exactly what happened. Uh, it's a powerful tool, and we're going to break down the science behind this tool. So leaving to work my leaving the 9 to 5 to work my business, that was an affirmation. Also, attaining 100K in business, that was an affirmation for me before I even had a business. And in my first year, which is kind of rare, I think, not for everybody, but it was rare from what I heard. My first year in business, I did over 100K in my first business. In my business in 2015. The business I started in 2015. So it was, I was like, wow, like I wrote all this out. So let's break this down. Where does this all stem from? I love what Proverbs 18:21 says, which says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. So what does that mean? It means whatever you want. Life is a buffet. You want fruits, you can have fruits. You want steak, you can have steak. You want seafood, you can have seafood. It's in the power of your tongue. You can bring to life what you want. You can bring to death what you don't want through what you say. I'm very cognizant and very careful with my words. Extremely cautious with what I say over myself, over my wife, over my family, over my friends. You will not catch me speaking death over anything that's in my life. I don't care how bad it is, right? So Proverbs 18:21 is is the foundational principle around affirmations for me, right? It's what I speak. And so if I want life, I'm speaking life. So I write out affirmations. So first I find out what in my life is, maybe not working in the way that I want, and I go con- inverse of that. What do I want? How I write down affirmations that speak to what I want, or qualities I don't have, or qualities people say I don't have. These are things that I work on. James 3:4 through 5 says, although there are so large and driven by strong winds, this is about talk about ships, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but makes great boast. What a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. So it's the Bible saying that it's these small things, the small thing, which is the mouth, it's compared to a ship. A rudder controls a ship. Your mouth controls your life. The ship of your life is controlled by your mouth, right? So you're directing your life where you want it to go or where you don't want it to go with your mouth, right? So your mouth is the key. It can start a fire literally in your life. Mark 11:23 is the principle that I mix with all of these, is that for verily I say unto you that whoever shall say unto this mountain, keyword, say to the mountain. You have to speak to your mountains. Be thou removed and be cast into the sea, and thou shalt not doubt in his heart, but shall believe those things which he said, they shall come to pass, and he shall have whatever he saith. It's not whatever you do, it's whatever you say. Combined, your doing will follow what you say. So it's a powerful mechanism God has given us to speak over our minds, speak over our situations, to change whatever we want to experience and let that experience reflect what we say. So what am I working on now? I'm not a millionaire yet. Working on that. I've been speaking that. I'm not a father yet, but I'm working on that. That's something I'm working on. There's so many other things I'm working on as well. Traveling more countries and doing more things. But I'm encouraging you to learn the art of turning your affirmations into confirmations. Speak them, write them, and then don't neglect doing the work. There's work behind it too. It's not just I just write it and then I'm done. You got to work it. Write it, work it, do it, make it happen. So I look forward to catching you on the next episode. Thank you for listening.